Beach and welcome to Vintage Vero. Now this is all things Vero and we're so excited because I have a Vintage Vero guest and this is Jim Wilson. Jim, welcome. Thank you so much for coming in.
Well, thank you for having me on your show, Mark.
And now we just did a little quick chat. I haven't had time to really even talk to you, but you're a pretty famous guy now in Vero. I mean, you're probably the most famous guy on social media because you have Growing Up Vero Facebook page.
Yes.
Is there? That's the only one?
Well, no, I have many of them. I have starting with Growing Up in Wabasso. We have Growing Up in Vero, which I share with two other moderators, and Kay Martin is the one who originated it.
Yeah.
We have over 6,200 members there. I have Growing Up in Fort Pierce, which has about 2,000 members. Growing Up in Stewart. I have a group for photography. It's Treasure Coast Views. We have over 2,000 members there. And I have many other specialized history groups that I've created.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I've got maybe 5 pages and it's hard to keep up with that.
Right.
And I'm the only one that does stuff on it, but you're constantly getting info in, and I'm telling you, go on Facebook, go to Jim Wilson, go to, well, at least Growing Up Vero.
Growing Up in Vero Beach.
And check it up, in Vero Beach.
Yes.
Because it's just, there are things you post on there are the most amazing things. I think the last thing you did was the bridge.
Yes.
I think when they were just building the Barber Bridge.
I heard from one of my fellow lady history buffs that we got talking about bridges across the Indian River Lagoon, and she started mentioning, well, you know, the Moorings put in their own bridge in Vero before the Vero Bridge.
Moorings or Riamar?
The Riamar.
Riamar.
Thank you. I'm not quite with it yet today.
Moorings
Yes.
always wanted to put in a bridge.
Yes, right. But this
they
was
wouldn't make it
this
public.
was Riamar in the 20s. They put their own bridge in, and one of the members of the group said, hey, I have the original plans for that bridge that was given to me. I gave it to someone else. Now they're coming home to me, and I want to end up donating to the Indian River County Historical Society. You know, like, really? I never heard, the day before I'd never heard of it, and I thought I knew everything, right? I'm really learning, but anyway, it was intriguing that we had a wooden bridge that went across right about where just north of the Alma Leloy Bridge, and it went across the lagoon, before the Vero Beach Barber Bridge or whatever preceded that.
Sure. I always knew there was a wooden bridge, but
many wooden bridges.
I didn't know that much about it. And that was wiped out in a hurricane.
They caught fire.
Yeah.
The hurricanes took them out. There was bridges, in Vero. There was one at Winter Beach Road that went across to Jungle Trail, across Hole in the Wall Island. There was one in Wabasso, and the one in the Winter Beach Road, it kept catching fire regular. And then before World War II, they said we're not rebuilding it. Cigarette butts and things like that.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
And they didn't have pressure treated stuff back then, I'm sure.
Yeah, don't know what it was, but anyway, we lost a lot of bridges to fire. But anyway, it was just intriguing.
Now, when you all see that picture on Growing Up in Vero Beach Facebook page, you see the Merrill Barber Bridge, but there was it looked like a pier or something on the north side of it.
Well, no, that's the bridge. It went out, and they chose the shallowest point of the lagoon, and that was the easiest to put pilings, so they actually went out and followed the topography of the depth of the water, pretty much, I guess.
Oh, wow.
So it had a bow to it. But anyway, a lot of fascinating history around here.
That's crazy. Well, now, you were born and raised here.
Yes.
And your family's from here. You said they moved here.
Well, actually, my mother's family came to Fort Pierce in 1915, and my grandfather started a pineapple plantation just on the south side of Taylor Creek in Fort Pierce. And then one thing, a long story there, but pineapples weren't doing well at the time, it's found out, so he decided to be a builder and built a hotel and built some homes and one thing or another. But
were they connected to any of the history? Remember, you go down Old Dixie and you're just over into Fort Pierce, and there's that big 2-story brick building, and there's it's on quite a bit of land, and then there was a smaller house.
Yeah, no, that was no part of that. This was way in Fort Pierce.
My parents looked into buying that once when I was a kid. That's
really? Oh, yeah.
And it used to be a pineapple plantation.
Yes.
because I guess because of the hilly sides, it was sandy, and
Right, and
I
that,
guess pineapples like that.
yes, we had, this was known as the Golden Coast back then. In
Really?
the early 1900s, late 1800s, we were like the pineapple capital of the world. We had pineapples from Vero Beach along the prehistoric dune line all the way to Jensen Beach.
Wow.
And they did, and pineapples were a good money crop back then. They took 2 years to grow, so if you had a freeze at either winter, you'd lose your crop and you had to start
Yeah,
over. So, but it was a very profitable business until the frost line and the depression and a lot of things happened.
So now, when did we get into oranges? Do we know?
Right after, in the 20s, I think is when the citrus industry took over from where the pineapples left off, you know.
I can't even imagine. I remember being in Hawaii and driving, and they're just like, as far as the eye can see,
Right,
pineapple.
pineapple,
I
yeah.
just picked a pineapple off my mom's thing. You know, you
Yeah.
stick the top in the
That's
ground.
it, that's
and,
all you gotta do.
yeah, we got like 3 or
Wonderful.
4 pineapples. Who knew?
Yes.
See, pineapples still like Vero Beach.
Right, yeah.
Now, when you grew up here, what was one of the things when you were a kid that you wish was still here?
Oh, wow. Probably the Florida Theater, as it once was,
Yeah.
and Rexall Pharmacy.
Yeah.
Those were 2 really key places for me as a child. And I grew up in town, literally on 15th Avenue. 2 blocks from there.
Sure.
So 14th Avenue is my backyard, literally.
Huh.
So it was wonderful back then. It was like some people say like Mayberry-ish, and it was.
Sure.
Everybody knew everybody. The community could raise children. I'd be 2 miles from my house, and my mom knew where I was and what I was doing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And the
Yeah.
noon whistle would tell you it's time to come home for lunch. When the street lights
That's
came
right.
on, oh yeah,
I
we had
forgot
a-
all about that.
Yeah.
The noon, we used to have a whistle. It was, what was it? Why was it?
It was a fire whistle, but yeah, it would call out the volunteer fire department, and they had certain numbers of blows that would tell them who they
Oh,
needed
sure.
and whatever. But it was also at 12 o'clock. It sounded
Yeah.
the noontime lunch. So
I forgot all about that.
that was a nice thing. And then the street lights came on at a certain time.
Yeah.
Before we had daylight savings time, it was pretty consistent. When the street lights come on, you better be home in like 5 minutes. That was the parents' rule. If the lights are on, you should be at the house. So.
Yeah, and you were lucky. You lived kind of right in the hub of everything.
Oh, I did.
We lived originally down by the high school, and now it's an old neighborhood, but right by the high school, and then we moved to the Boondocks, which was out
Yeah.
on like 36th Avenue and 8th Street.
Right.
Nobody lived up that far.
Yeah.
It was crazy talk.
Yeah.
Nobody
Oh,
would come visit you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I had my aunt and uncle. They lived out on 8th Street, Bookers, and they had horses and pigs and chickens and.
Oh, yeah.
Like, wow, this is a country. I was a
Yeah.
city boy. They called me. Always picked on me because you're in town. You're not one of us. You're a city boy. But it was a nice area back then. And it still is.
What are some of the things that you've seen that have changed, like that you're really glad changed?
Oh, wow. Not much for change. So that's a tough question. But I don't know. I think overall that's a tough one. That one I'd have to think on a little bit. But I think just overall, just at the change of times, the shopping has increased. It used to be back in my day, we had to go to Sears Town in Fort Pierce to do any real serious shopping. Here, once the malls came in and the different stores, and it's nice to see better shopping variety and such. But I miss the mom and pops though. That was really a big foundation of our community. You want clothes, you go to Wadke's.
It was absolutely. Rockies
Yeah.
always got my school
Yeah.
uniforms there. But
Alma Leloy's.
everyone's still trying to bring that back or to just re-emphasize the mom and pop organizations. Like myself, I have Blue Ribbon, boarding and grooming and such.
Right.
And there's still a lot of locally owned businesses.
There is. And I try to
it's-
spend money with those people first before I look elsewhere.
Absolutely, and like here, the Patio Restaurant, the Patio Seafood
Oh.
Tavern, it's
Oh, yeah.
vintage.
How vintage Vero can you be?
Been here
This
forever.
is awesome. Yes. I
And,
love this place.
So it's just crazy, all the great things.
Yeah.
And thank you so
Sure,
much
thank you.
for posting.
Oh, Thank
all
you.
of that on the pages now.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Originally, where was your family from?
My parents were from New York. My mother was from New York. My father was from Kentucky. So he discovered the area in World War II at the Naval Training Base in Fort Pierce.
Sure.
And that's
So
what
he-
brought him back. And,
So he's the one that left all the bombs on the beach.
oh, he probably one of them. Yeah, but it's, you know, but we have a lot of great history here. If you go on growing up in Vero, even if you're new, you haven't grown up here, you're still welcome. We have the largest online photo archive that you're going to find for Indian River County. We have over 5,000 images put up by myself, by other members. Some are the only place you're ever going to see some photos. They're family photos, but we'll have maybe a historic building in the background. But it's, you know, fascinating looking at the photos and looking at how things changed over the years for each location.
Crazy. I tell you, one day, I thought I'd find them after, you know, my dad passed. We did a lot of straightening up and going through stuff and didn't find them, but so, Mom, you're next after you go. I'll have to find them. But somewhere we have slides, and they're all of McKee Jungle Garden.
Oh, wow.
And all the original pictures. And when they were redoing McKee's, you know, like 10, 15 years ago, they took it over and redid it. They desperately wanted those pictures, and I looked everywhere for them.
Oh, those are like gold to my group.
They are, well, they're going to be
love
golder
seeing
than gold by the time I find them, I think.
Okay.
But,
if you have slides, you can develop those into or convert them into digital images that are awesome. They're going to be very high quality. So
yeah, very excited about
look forward to
finding
seeing them one day. We welcome you to post. For anyone else that has any images they'd like to share.
But absolutely, and anybody that is visiting Vero, you're a resident of Vero, a newcomer, whatever, check out that page and check out this show, Vintage Vero. You can find us on Facebook, Vintage Vero. You can find me, Martin Lavender, on Facebook, and you can check out this video and see it over and over again on inverobeachflorida.com, or you can go to YouTube and type in Vintage Vero. We actually come up. Jim, thank you very much so much for coming in. A big shout out to Don's Auto Import. I'll tell you, now they've been around a long time.
Yeah. Don's Import Auto Service. Yes, we are celebrating our 35th year this year, and we're very proud of it. We've got a very large and loyal customer base that we've been servicing. We're up sometimes into the third or fourth generation of families that have been bringing their cars to us.
No, you're on like 10th generation of my cars, and I tell you, thank God for you guys, because you kept my car running great. I had a few crazy issues that were hard to figure out, but you guys did it. So
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming to us.
And before we go, let's not forget, I don't know if you know about this. Here, take a gander up one while I chat. We have our 5th annual Yappy Hour event. Now that's hosted by Dyer Subaru, and it's October 17th. We're going to have food. We're going to have a pet costume contest. We are going to have, now this is the most amazing thing, I think, the Bobby Owen Band, which is absolutely like one of those sellout stadium quality kind of bands. Plus they're good friends. So come on out. This is one of our big fundraisers we do. All the money goes to helping pets here in Indian River County, and it helps people who can't afford pets, and it helps people who can't afford medical care for their pets. We also help all the canine police dogs here in Indian River County with bulletproof vests, pet oxygen masks for the fire rescue stations, and so on. So check us out, October 17th, 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock. So hopefully it'll be nice and cool by then. Bring your pet, bring your appetite, and bring your dancing shoes, because it's going to be a great party. Thank you all, and tune in next week.